Johnny Dollar.
This is George Caldwell, Mr. Dollar.
Caldwell?
That's right. I'm in charge of the Office of Amalgamated Life Association here in Meridian, Mississippi.
Oh, I see.
Yes, sir. And I'm certainly glad I caught you.
What can I do for you, Mr. Caldwell?
Well, I understand that you've been given top security clearance.
That's right, sir, I have.
Good.
The CBS Radio Network brings you Mandel Kramer in the exciting adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account. America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator, yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Amalgamated Life Association Meridian office. Following is an account of expenses incurred during my investigation of the Philadelphia Miss matter. Expense account item 1, $81.60, cab to Bradley Field and plane fare to